Canto Cutie 嘅讀者，每一位藝術創作嘅朋友，大家好，我係 Leung，係來自馬來西亞嘅。咁我本身喺藝術嘅呢一個行業，都有30年。我係一位老師啦，美術嘅老師，以及從事呢一個 clay art 嘅藝術創作者。以下分享我家的故事。中華文化在馬來西亞仍然是被重視，話中的根就代表我們華僑在海外中華文化的傳承。尤其是我本身有3個仔，好讓中華風俗及文化一代一代傳落去。秋天風熱，因為點掛住在加拿大嘅仔以及佢哋嘅家庭，特別係呢2年因為疫情關係而無法探望佢哋。舊的路反映我兩老在這裡簡單的生活，希望疫情之後再有機會一家團聚。再一次多謝 Canto Cutie 以及讀者聆聽我家的故事。
Hi everyone, my name is Ellie, and this story is called Mother Tongue. Mother Tongue. My parents immigrated from Hong Kong and Canton to Brazil in the 70s. They met in Brazil and had 3 kids, including me. My sisters and I spoke a mix of Portuguese and Cantonese at home. Even though I'm much more fluent in Portuguese, Cantonese was probably my first language. Growing up, I remember binge watching TVB with my parents instead of watching Brazilian TV shows like my peers. I remember driving from my birth city of Campinas to São Paulo, where more Chinese people lived. Over there, we will go to the Asian supermarket known as Tong A to stock up on Asian goods. We will always stop by the Chinese VHS store located at Liberdade to pick up some Canto drama shows. São Paulo was also where my Papa and Yeye lived. Papa and Yeye spoke Cantonese, but it was very different from the Cantonese I learned from my Hong Kongese mother. When I finished high school, I came to New York without speaking a word of English. I was taking classes, but I could barely make myself understood. One night, while I was living in Elmhurst, Queens, I realized I was being followed home by a stranger, and as a result, I became scared to walk on the street by myself. My apartment had also been burglarized a few weeks before. I was only 18, 19 when all of that happened. A few days following that incident, I was walking home from the subway and I became very nervous and freaked out about being followed again. Midway home, I ran up close to an uncle that was walking in front of me so that I could walk next to someone. He was taken aback by me walking so close and spoke in Cantonese. Is everything okay? Mui chay mesia. I was so glad to hear a familiar language and responded that I could understand Cantonese but could not speak very well. He told me that I sounded just fine and asked me what was going on. After he reaffirmed that he could understand me, I felt comfortable and explained to him what was happening. He said, I'm very impressed. At first, it seemed like you did not speak much, but all of a sudden, like magic, you can speak a lot. Do not worry, I will walk you home, and you can get my number in case you are scared again. The uncle told me a little bit about his life. He said he could not speak much English and put me in touch with one of his younger acquaintances in Flushing who was looking for a roommate. I ended up going to see the apartment but did not move there. I eventually lost touch with the uncle, but will never forget the familiar feeling I felt when, for one of the first times, I had to use Cantonese outside of my home. Even though New York is not in Asia, and only about 11.8% of the population are Asian, moving here from Campinas, Brazil, placed me much closer to my Chinese heritage. I'm so grateful for the booming Cantonese culture that is present in the different Chinatowns around the city. It is estimated that Brazil currently has around 2.08 million Asian Brazilians, 1.1% of the population. Of these 2.08 million, around 300,000 are Chinese. It is believed that the first Chinese to arrive in Brazil were from Macau and Canton. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Louise Leung, and I'm going to read to you two poems. I will explain the contents of the poems a little bit after I finish reading them. The first one is called Education Gap. Blue ball pens between scabs and ears, intimate skin to skin relation. Like my mother holding my hand, stroke by stroke, learning how to write 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8. My relatives are ready to serve 凍檸 tea, 蛋河,酒青. Guayuafu on the bill utters a language exclusive to adults. Her tight grip closes the gaps my hand aches and pains in the regrets of her unprivileged youth. Living in the same house, eating the same rice, we're not so different after all. Mother glares in anger, disciplining me. If you don't know how to write, you are loser. Sometimes in a dialect or non-local accent. I remember seeing their heartwarming smiles, always lacking a tooth. So this poem is inspired by my childhood. My grandmother used to own a chow chow noodle store in Wan Chai, and my relatives from the mainland would come to Hong Kong and work in her shop. And their Cantonese is not very good. They don't know how to write a lot of Chinese words, but they know the essentials, the shorthands for, cha chan tang and restaurants, and they are really happy. And my mom, her education level was only up to primary 2, second grade, so it was really sad. And she always told me how if she could study, she would really want to become a doctor. It was really sad because her dream never came true. And as like the first university student in the family, I just struggle between the feelings of being educated while at the same time finding happiness in simplicity. 知足常樂. Also calls back to my childhood days in Granny's store with, all the people speaking a language that a kid would never understand, just mimicking them with the blue ball pen here and pretending to be 4K. Yeah, so the second one is called 老豆, old bean. 老, old, as in old friend. Now I good friend with you, meh? Old sound. Father-daughter spend more time meeting in McDonald's than at home. His hairline falls back, revealing his 地中海, an empty circle, a mystic hair, a broken wire fence. Knock, knock, knock. 有冇人啦? I wonder if anyone is strong enough to break through his defense. His head is hard, 冇人啦! We laugh, almost choking on our Sundays. Father's eye tilts like the bad in fool. You across reminding me that every fool makes mistakes. Have some pocket money. Don't let your mother know. His dry, cracked working hand passes me $500 in cash. I wait before I can hear him call me daughter in 5 months' time. Dao, bean, as in the seed he sowed in my mother's belly, sprouting out an accident. They were dating for 10 years, not married. You and your dad are banging. You look just like him. My half-blooded siblings hate my illegitimate face. Bastards are the biggest disgrace of the family. Getting a university degree does not change who I am. The overly specific insecurity of cheating on your lover and abandoning your child taunts my already shame-born adult blood.
Oh, Daddy must be working hard so that we can get more McDonald's.
His 4-year-old daughter smiles before her mother prepares a suicide. He calls me daughter again, next to my hospital bed, with a favorite vanilla sundae. So this poem got dark. It's about how my dad made a lot of mistakes and how he's trying to compensate. Through always asking, hey, do you have enough pocket money? If you don't have enough, I can give you some. Life is hard out there, don't spend too much money, but if you need any, Dad will always give you some. That kind of attitude. It also calls back to my identity crisis of being a bastard who, although have like the best education degree and let's say have a very ambitious career path ahead of me, still does not earn a place in my half-blooded siblings' place. Yeah, it doesn't earn a place in my heart. And while I try really hard to forgive my dad, I'm thinking if he deserves that kind of respect. And yeah, it's really personal. And the incident at the end is true. It's based on real event. My mother attempted suicide by burning coals. I was 4.5 years old, and she found out that my dad was cheating, and she called my dad, and then she burned coals, and then my dad rushed back. I was sent to a hospital. I was in a coma for 3 hours with hypoxia. Yeah, I forgot that name. Basically, my brain does not have enough oxygen, Yeung. And I woke up in the hospital one day, and I didn't ask anything. I was like, what? I'm just here? Okay. But later, after some domestic violence incident from my mother, I ran away from home and my dad told me about it. And he does not try to justify his actions. He knows he is not a good father figure, but he wants to leave it up to me to decide whether I want to keep in contact with him or not. So this poem is kind of my way of coping with parent issues. Yeah, so thanks.
Hi everyone, I'm Adam Alicia Cheung, and I'm speaking to you from my home here in Hong Kong. Just want to start off by saying a big thanks to Canto Cutie for having my writing in their next issue. The writing comes from a book that I'm gonna publish hopefully early next year. The title is I Know I'll Never. It's basically a series of diary entries documenting my own gender reconfiguration, and I basically went out cross-dressing around this time last year. The big event, I guess you can say, was last year on Christmas Eve. I went out dressed as a woman. I was in public in the appearance of a woman. So that was the big project. And after that, I went on to sort of cross-dress in public a few more times after that. And I basically documented the whole process by writing these diary entries. And I'm gonna put them together in a book called I Know I'll Never. The title actually comes from a song, and maybe I'll tell you more about that during the launch. But for now, I'll read you a bit from the writing. I'm gonna read you the first entry. So this is when I first got the idea of wanting to cross-dress. I was feeling very uncertain. There was a lot of internal struggle. And I was asking myself, why are you doing this? I was asking the why question a lot. So yeah, I'll just read to you now the first diary entry from the book, I Know I'll never. Because I want to. Am I being disrespectful? For weeks now, I've been thinking, how do I do this right? Is there a right way? Isn't that a kind of moralizing? Because I want to. The same way I feel an urge to buy a pair of triangle earrings. A triangle hinged to the inside of a triangle that's hinged to a bigger triangle, all spinning off a shared vertical axis. The triangles are green, the smallest, innermost one, deep green. They all have silver edges that shimmer like the wrapping of a batchy chocolate piece. Because I want to. That's all for now. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Har, and I'll be reading an excerpt from my piece, The Hong Kong Where You Died, in Volume 4 of Canto Cutie. The Hong Kong Where You Died is a piece I wrote as a way to process the grief I felt after the passing of my mother in the winter of 2020. In it, I explore the bittersweet juxtaposition of childhood nostalgia I felt while being back home, whilst also living through the reality of death, loss, grief in that very same place. It is hard to lose someone you know better than anyone in a place you know better than anywhere. I can just as easily picture you at every location of this metropolitan town as I can picture the streets themselves. You are so accessible. Intricately a part of me is the nerves in my body. I could close my eyes and with barely any effort, walk down the street with you where you would take me for my art classes when I was a child. Perfectly cloning every street vendor, every shop sign, the local dollar store around the corner, and you. And it is even harder not to imagine that if I'd only be allowed to hold time still for a moment, I'd be able to run around the neighborhood which I know so well, and eventually I would find you. I can picture what you would be wearing exactly. The memory of you is almost too clear, too easy to rewatch in my head, and too comforting to fall back into. The clarity of your presence only makes the certainty of your absence all the more painful. You are the dog-eared page of the book that I'm reading, which I start to read faster and faster, hoping to get to the last part I remember, but come to find out I'm always only one word away. You've just left every room I've just entered, and it's like you're always around the corner, but I can never reach you. We are separated forever by a sheet of paper-thin glass. I saw you one last time, in the white lights emerging from high-rise residential buildings as I looked over Hong Kong from Peak Road, where I used to do cross-country in high school. I saw pieces of our life together, held in each capsule of soft pale glow, like miniature figurines of us in polymer clay, and I was a giant peering in each window from the outside. But I was smaller than I ever was that night. With thousands of pieces of our shared existence towered over me, it's hard to say which moments are mine, which moments are yours, and which belong to the city. Could I ever conceive of living in this place without you? Thank you.
Hello， 大家好，我係 Random Useless Doodles 不定期圖啊。我平時冇嘢做嘅時候就要畫下畫，亦都要畫下漫畫，畫嘅多數都係悲喜劇，即係 tragic comedy。咁今次咧就真係好多謝 Canto Cutie 揀咗我幅畫嘅。咁呢幅畫其實就係畫咗我平時返工都會經過嘅一條橋。咁我哋依家就有實際嘅 location 望下啦。就係呢條橋啦。
因為始終焗住翻工。但係喺反修例期間嗰陣咧，咁就有好多人喺條橋上面寫字啦，有支持嘅，亦都有反對嘅。咁但係呢啲字句亦都好快就被洗走咗。咁就係呢個時候，我發現原來身邊嘅嘢啦，身邊嘅人與物唔係理所當然嘅存在。咁為咗留低我呢一刻對條橋嘅印象，我就將佢畫咗出嚟。咁當我將呢幅圖 upload 上 social media 嗰陣咧，佢嘅迴響就比我想象之中大好多嘅。我估唔到原來大家都咁中意條橋，一個好平平無奇嘅橋。咁我諗所謂嘅集體回憶同埋身份認同，就係從呢啲咁細嘅嘢慢慢堆積而成。咁無論你行過呢條橋又好，冇行過呢條橋都好，都希望你會中意呢幅畫啦。多謝。
3:33 in the morning. Another restless night, mindless scrolling through my head. This marching voice. Stop Asian hate. Stop Asian hate. Stop Asian hate. Stop Asian hate. But I can't even stop hating myself. Of the parts of me I despise, the surface is the last to get to. Confused, conflicted, distorted reality, uncertain identity. Chinese school soccer team, teacher's pet jumping from one circle to another, begging to be acknowledged, to be seen, accepted, but never doing that for myself. The intergenerational trauma, I feel it in my bones. The scars from customs I never grew accustomed to, stunting my growth, keeping me childish, but fighting for innocence, grateful for this cognizance. But what the fuck do I do with awareness? That's part of my crisis. I want to do so much. Guide the next generation of Chinese kids born into a country of complacency, the avatar of lineage who just want to spread their wings before they're clipped, claimed for corporates, falling into line, marching madness, mechanical, malleable, manageable, monolith, model minority. Am I talking about it enough, posting enough, caring enough, angry enough, sharing enough? Am I fighting enough, donating enough, acknowledging the victims enough? Why am I so selfish to make this about me? Could I have done more to prevent this? How do I contribute to this? Brushing aside the aggressions, macro, micro, the complacency, laughing along, begging to be accepted, taking out my anger on my own people, jokes about bad driving, small dick, smaller eyes, normalized, scrutinized, trivialized, racialized, victimized. This hatred for myself, jagged judgments, one piece of the puzzle. Asian identity, mosaic human condition, a drop in the pool of persistence. I keep swimming into love, my inner child, Ninja Turtle floaties, the pool noodle fights, the young boy who just needs nurturing, the dawn of days, mending yesteryear's memories, magical imperfections embraced. It's 3:34 p.m. Releasing the protest pen, the painted signs, exhausted from responding, invigorated by purpose. Together, we stop Asian hate. Stop Asian hate. Stop Asian hate. Stop Asian hate. This is how I contribute. This step will acknowledge the inner child of the reticent, drifting in desperation, angry that we can't do more, but we're still here. We're still here. And that's
My name is Maggie Wong. I spent my early childhood years in Hong Kong, and I'm currently residing in Houston, Texas. I love to create art and craft and sketch and draw as a way to reflect and process different life experiences that I've had. And this piece that I've submitted for Canto Cutie called Small Eats is really a tribute to all the memories that I've had growing up there and still be able to carry with me as I'm in Texas. And it's through the food, the aromas that really bring back all the good memories. Whether it's through walking through the subway and transit between stations, or grabbing a pickup snack from school, and just remembering all the aunties and uncles and family members that would bring back bags of bread and goodies back home when I was growing up. And just the delight and the excitement of it just really bring back and really connect me back to where I'm from. And I hope that some of you can find something to connect with this piece. Every line, every shadow, the intention of it is really just to draw us back to the just the real experience of growing up in Hong Kong, and just being able to reflect all the connections that I have with it today. Yeah, I look forward to sharing more art with you. If you resonate with it, feel free to reach out to me. I would love to hear your thoughts and connect with you too. Thank you.